Good afternoon, grade 8s. I'm recording this ahead of your Socrative quiz, but I'm very excited about the Socrative quiz and I hope you are going to enjoy doing it. You can let me know whether you did or didn't enjoy it. Okay, I don't want you to stress about it, I want you to enjoy it. Okay, so we finished human reproduction processes and structures, and we have two sections left in human reproduction section. One is contraception, and the second one is sexually transmitted infections. So let's start with contraception. So the process of preventing fertilization from taking place is called contraception, and it comes from the two words contra, meaning against, and conception, which is another word for fertilization. And contraception is also known as birth control. And so contraception is any method used to prevent a pregnancy. We have to first of all talk about measuring effectiveness. So the effectiveness of any contraception method is measured by how many women will get pregnant within a year of using that method. So for example, if the effectiveness of male condoms with perfect use, and we'll talk about perfect use versus typical use, if the effectiveness of male condoms with perfect use is 98%, it means that out of 100 women using male condoms correctly all the time, 2 will become pregnant within 1 year. So that is what effectiveness means. Okay, so there are always 2 figures given when effectiveness is quoted. The first one is perfect use, and that means using a method as instructed for every single sex act. Typical use means not using a method correctly as instructed and or not using the method correctly for every sex act. So these figures vary depending on the source and depending on how recent the figures are. I don't want you to learn any of the figures, but I do want you to have an idea of the effectiveness of each type of contraception. So if I say to you, for example, here are 2 methods of contraception that are available to this couple who cannot afford to have a child. This one's easier to use, but is it the best one for them to use? And if it's got a low effectiveness, then it's not the best one for them to use, even if it is easier. Okay, but I'll talk about that over time. So both typical use and perfect use describe a group's risk of pregnancy, not an individual's risk of pregnancy. It's per 100 women. Contraception is less effective at preventing pregnancy if not used correctly. But typical use affects some methods more than it affects others. E.g., typical use with condoms, how's this typing error, results in greater failure than typical use with something called an IUD. But I'll discuss that as we go along. So I'm going to put the different methods of contraception into categories. And first of all, we're going to talk about what are called barrier methods. And so what a barrier method does is it prevents sperm from reaching the ovum. And included in barrier methods, the ones we're going to discuss, there are others, are the male condom and the female condom. And so barrier methods of birth control block sperm from entering the uterus and therefore prevent those sperm from encountering an ovum that is able to be fertilized. Okay, because remember, the sperm has to get into the uterus and into the fallopian tubes to reach an egg cell or ovum before it is past being able to be fertilized. So first of all, under barrier methods, we're going to talk about male condoms. So a male condom is a thin sheath. It's normally made of latex, and that's important. and it's placed over the erect penis. So when used correctly during sexual intercourse, even if it's oral sex or anal sex, male condoms are a very effective way to protect partners from sexually transmitted infections, STIs or STDs. They're also a relatively effective way of preventing pregnancy if used correctly. And there are lots of things to consider in using a male condom. Okay, so let's have a look at some male condoms. A male condom is placed over the erect penis before intercourse occurs. It functions by preventing sperm from entering the uterus and therefore preventing the fertilization of an ovum. And here, effectiveness, perfect use 3. So remember, that means of 100 women using this for an entire year as their only method of contraception, with perfect use, 3 of them will become pregnant. With typical use, 14 will become pregnant. Okay, so that means 86% of the women are safe. Okay, so let's have a look at the structure of a condom. All right, it's a sheath, as I said, normally made of latex. And the importance of that is twofold. One, while it's very effective, certain people are allergic to latex. And you know that because you know that certain people can't use normal Band-Aid plasters because Band-Aid plasters or all that kind of plaster, most of them are made of latex, and certain people are allergic to latex, so they can't use those. Now, it's the same thing. Certain people that are allergic to latex, it means that they can't use a latex condom. So that's the first thing. And the second reason why latex is an issue is because latex can't be used with certain lubricants. And if I remember, I will go back and talk about that just now. I'm not sure that I included it in the PowerPoint. Okay, so lots of different pretty colors of condoms. What you must notice when you see the condom, though, in the picture, the top picture there, is 2 things. First of all, it's got a little air sac at the top here, and that's terribly important when putting it on. And secondly, the edge is rolled up, and that's also important when it's put on, because if this thing is put on the wrong way, it won't roll down, and then it has to be thrown away and a new one used. We'll talk about that. Okay, so using a male condom correctly. Point 1, check the date on the condom wrapper. So if you look at this picture here, you'll see that there's an expiry date. Okay, it's terribly important that that expiry date hasn't passed, because an out-of-date condom is more likely to break. It's not necessarily going to break. It's better than nothing, but it's more likely to break. Secondly, check that the packet still has an air pocket. In other words, that it's still sealed. Now, you know how if you get a packet of sweets, for example, I don't mean a roll, I mean a packet, like a packet of marshmallows, then you know that there's an air pocket inside that packet of marshmallows, and you can feel it if you feel that packet of marshmallows. And then when you open the packet, obviously that air pocket, that seal is broken. Now, it's important that the packet still has the air pocket and that it's still sealed, because latex, when it comes into contact with air, perishes. So that means that if it has been in contact with air, there's more likelihood that it will break during sexual intercourse. Okay. Thirdly, open the packet carefully, taking care not to rip or damage the condom. There's usually an arrow on the packet for guidance as to the direction in which it should be opened. Avoid using teeth or scissors, and be careful with sharp fingernails or jewelry. So the penis needs to be erect before the condom is put on. However, once the penis is erect, it's important to put the condom on before the penis touches a woman or a man's genitals or mouth. So condoms, I said to you just now, come with the rim rolled up. So if you look at the drawing on the right-hand side, the rim is rolled up like the rim on a beanie, if you put a beanie on your head. Okay. And it's important that the condom's ready to roll on the right way. So the rim should be on the outside so that it looks like a little hat and that it will unroll easily. Unroll it a little bit before putting it on to make sure it's the right side out. Because if it is accidentally put on inside out, it mustn't be flipped around and reused. A new one must be used. And the reason for this is, even if a male has not ejaculated, during sexual arousal, a male will release a certain amount of lubricating mucus from the penis, long before ejaculation. And that lubricating mucus has sperm in it. And so if this was put on the penis and then flipped over and put on correctly, that means that there is going to probably be sperm on the outside, and so it needs to be thrown away. All right. So place the condom on top of the erect penis and pinch the teat at the end of the condom, this little air sac. Pinch it between the thumb and the forefinger before starting to roll the condom down the penis. This squeezes out any air bubbles and it ensures that there's room left for the semen, because this little teat must stay empty. That's where, when the male ejaculates, that's where the semen goes. And if this thing is pulled on without a little teat into which the semen can go, the condom's going to burst. And burst condoms means bad news. Okay, then roll the condom down to the base of the penis. After ejaculating, hold the rim of the condom and pull the penis out of the partner's body. And do this before the penis goes soft, so the condom doesn't get too loose, because if it gets too loose, it's going to slide off the penis and semen is going to escape. And then throw the condom away in the garbage. Don't flush it down the toilet because it'll clog the pipes of the toilet. Okay, so let's go. Here we go. Pinch the air out of the tip of the condom. Put the condom on the top of the erect penis. Roll the condom down to the base of the penis and wear it the whole time during, look at the spelling error, during sexual intercourse. Sorry, guys. Take the condom off. Another spelling error. Once the penis has been withdrawn completely, but while the penis is still erect. Okay. Sorry and sorry. Okay. What are the advantages of a male condom? So, and we're going to do the female condom next. So, like the female condom, the male condom and the female condom are the only contraceptive that protects a woman from both pregnancy and an STI infection, as well as protecting a male from an STI infection. So in other words, when having sexual intercourse with a partner who has an STI, a condom prevents transmission of that STI to the partner who doesn't have the STI. Male condoms are easy to obtain. You know that many bathrooms contain male condoms, and some of them even contain female condoms that are handed out for free, but it's also easy to get a male condom from lots of other places. But to be effective, a male condom must be used every time intercourse occurs. It's no good just one day when in the mood not using a male condom. Some males say that they reduce sensations a little bit, but this might also be an advantage because it delays ejaculation. partners need to plan ahead to ensure that a condom is available. Male condoms do occasionally break, so they're not completely safe. And a new condom must be used every time sexual intercourse occurs, which means that it's a little bit expensive if they're not free condoms. And then there's an interruption of foreplay to put on a condom. In other words, to actually stop foreplay and put on a condom might be considered to spoil the mood. And this is where a lot of people go pear-shaped, because they are so much in the mood they don't stop to put a condom on. So let's have a look at some of the precautions. They mustn't be used after the expiry date. Okay, you can see that this one expired on the 9th month of 2006. One shouldn't be using this condom. Okay. Condoms should be stored away from heat. Condoms should have an air pocket in the package. And then this is terribly, terribly important. Okay, so sometimes when people have sexual intercourse, they like to use a lubricant while having sexual intercourse. In other words, they put like an oily substance on the penis or on the condom just to make things a little bit easier. Condoms, because they're made of latex, must not be used with an oil-based lubricant. So no using a male condom, a latex condom with Vaseline or baby oil or oil-based hand creams. And I'm sad that we're not doing this face-to-face in class, because I would have shown you what actually happens if you do use an oil-based lubricant on a male latex condom. Anyway, and this is such a nice graph. It's an interesting, different type of graph. It's putting effectiveness on the male condom in a different way. Typical use, 18 women become pregnant out of those 100. Perfect use, 2 women become pregnant. Now remember, I said to you, depends on where you get the figures from and how recent they are as to the actual figures. So you might find figures quoted in one source are slightly different from the figures in another source. Okay. Second kind of barrier method, a female condom. So a female condom is not made from latex, so there's less chance of allergies. Female condoms can be used with any type of lubricant, an oil-based or a water-based lubricant. And the female condom is a soft, loose-fitting pouch with a ring at each end. So if you look at this illustration of a female condom here, it's much bigger than a male condom, and there's a loose ring on the inside. You can see it here, and it's loose. This ring can move. And then there's a fixed rim or ring at the other end of it. It's closed at this end, it's open at this end. And if you look at where it's situated here within the vagina, what you can see is this top ring actually has to go all the way up the vagina, and it actually holds around the cervix at the top. And then the bottom ring remains on the outside of the vagina. So it overlaps the external lips of the vaginal opening. Okay, so the female condom protects both against pregnancy and sexually transmitted infections. I said it's a soft, loose-fitting pouch with a ring on each end, and one ring is inserted into the vagina to hold the female condom in place over the cervix, which is what I said to you. You can see over here. And the ring at the open end of the condom remains outside the vagina. The outer ring also helps to keep the condom in place, and it's used for removal, but we'll talk about that. So here's a female condom being held up. You can see the internal ring, as I said to you, that is actually loose. It's possible to take it out, but why one would, I don't know. And there's the outer fixed ring. Okay. And a female condom, if I remember correctly, is made of polyurethane, so it's more plastic stuff than latex. It also prevents unintended pregnancy by blocking the man's sperm after ejaculation, and that prevents the sperm from meeting and fertilizing an egg. It also acts as a barrier to sexually transmitted diseases, in other words, STIs or STDs, including HIV. So if I talk about STIs, know that HIV is included with those STIs. Female condoms are not as effective as male condoms in protecting against STIs, or in fact in protecting against pregnancy. So what are the benefits of a female condom? So like a male condom, it's immediately effective. Now, the reason why this is being said here is other contraceptive methods, such as the pill, for example, a female has to take for at least a month before she is protected from pregnancy. A condom, on the other hand, works immediately. It offers protection from sexually transmitted infections. It's available without a prescription or a special fitting. So certain of the contraceptive methods require a doctor to fit them. It can be inserted up to 8 hours before sex. This is important in a situation where a female is protecting herself from potential sexual abuse, for example. If she's going into an area where she feels she is running the risk, say, of being raped, then to insert a female condom before going there is protecting herself to a certain extent. So although a male can obviously see a female condom from the outside, there is a possibility that he would not notice it. Okay. Rarely causes allergic reactions, has minimal risk of side effects, and it doesn't generally require a partner's cooperation or an erect penis as the male condom does. And that's linked with this 8 hours before sexual intercourse. So some of the risks or disadvantages: up to 21 out of 100 women will become pregnant in a year of typical use of female condoms. And it's possibly because they don't use condoms every time they have sex. Female condoms, if they're not acquired free in like a bathroom or something like that, or from a clinic, are actually really expensive. And so certain women would not be able to afford a female condom. Female condom has a higher failure rate than the male condom. And condom failure means it's possible to contract sexually transmitted infections and or become pregnant. And a female can't protect you, or I shouldn't have had you there. It can't protect an individual if the condom breaks, or the condom slips out of the vagina, or the penis slips between the vagina and the outer surface of the condom, or if the outer ring of the condom gets pushed into the vagina during sex. Okay, how do you use? And remember, anything that's in blue, you don't have to learn. So open the package carefully without using teeth or fingernails, obviously, or scissors, which could tear the condom. Consider using additional lubrication. In this case, obviously, the lubrication should be inside the condom. And this makes it easier to insert if there's lubrication also on the outside, and minimizes noise during sex. Now, I have it on good authority from somebody who has used these things. It's possible that they squeak during sex. And so minimizing noise might be an issue. To insert the female condom, the process goes: squeeze the ring at the closed end of the pouch between the middle finger and the thumb and insert it into the vagina like a tampon. Place the index finger inside the condom and push the ring up as far as it will go. Don't allow the condom to twist. Make sure that the outer ring remains outside the vagina, extending about 2.5 centimeters beyond the labia. Female condom can be placed inside the vagina up to 8 hours before sex. Then, during sexual intercourse, guide the penis into the female condom, making sure that it doesn't slip between the vagina and the outer surface of the condom. During sex, make sure that the outer ring of the condom doesn't get pushed into the vagina. After sex, remove the female condom carefully by twisting the outer ring so that the semen is contained within the condom, and gently pull the device out of the vagina. Dispose of it with the trash, not in the toilet, because again, it's going to block the sewage system. Okay, so here we go. Unravel it, squeeze the inner ring, insert it into the vagina, push it up as far as possible. It's important to make sure that it doesn't twist. Guide the penis into the vagina, making certain that the penis is within the condom. And then to get rid of it, twist it using the outer ring. Be nice to people who have to empty the rubbish bins and roll it in a piece of toilet paper or tissue and throw it in a rubbish bin. Right, effectiveness, perfect use, 95% effective. In other words, about 5 in 100 women who use a female condom only will get pregnant in a year. Typical use, around 79% effective. So about 21 in 100 women will get pregnant in a year. And when I said to you, you don't have to learn these figures, remember I said to you that you need to know whether one method is better than another method. So for a couple who cannot afford to have a baby and desperately trying not to fall pregnant, a male condom would be better than a female condom. And then I need to add, using 2 condoms, like 2 male condoms together, or using a male condom together with a female condom, is a very, very big no-no. So while you would think 1 is good, 2 is better, in fact what they do is they rub against each other and cause breakage. So never use 2 condoms simultaneously. Okay. All right, hormonal methods of contraception. Now, the body's hormones stimulate an egg cell in the ovary to mature and be released. So every month the female matures 1 egg cell, normally 1, and it is released, and that's ovulation. That process is controlled by a sequence of hormones being released. What hormonal methods of contraception do is they introduce artificial hormones into the body. It controls the levels of the hormones in the body by introducing these artificial hormones. And what these do is they suppress ovulation, they prevent ovulation. And if there's no egg cell, there can't be fertilization. So the first one we're going to deal with is the oral contraceptive pill. So this birth control pill, also known as oral contraceptive or the pill, is a medication that has to be taken daily in order to prevent pregnancy. I do have to say, though, that some women take the pill for reasons other than preventing pregnancy. For example, taking the pill is really good at regulating a person's menstrual periods, or to clear up skin problems, or definitely to reduce menstrual pains, which is such a bonus. Okay, there are 2 kinds of pill. The combined oral contraceptive pill is the type that was first invented. So it's been around for much longer than what is called the mini pill. And And the combined oral contraceptive pill is a combination of two hormones, estrogen and something called progesterone or progestogen, which is artificial progesterone. And it prevents pregnancy mainly by stopping the ovaries from releasing ova. And then progestogen or progestin are synthetically produced hormones that are similar to progesterone. In other words, they're made artificially in a lab. Okay. So how does the combined oral contraceptive pill work? It keeps the body's hormone levels artificially constant. And therefore stops the ovaries from releasing an ova and ovum, singular. Thickens the cervical mucus. So there's always mucus in the cervix. If the cervical mucus is thick, the sperm can't enter the uterus. It also thins the uterus lining, in other words, the endometrium, which minimizes the chances of implantation happening if a female does get fertilized, if an egg cell is fertilized. So how is it used? Now, first of all, look at the actual photograph, and what you'll see is it's 28 pills, and it's got a sequence of arrows, and the pill has to be taken in that order. In fact, they always do, they will say to you, start within this sequence here. So if the first day of a female's period, when she's starting to take the pill, if the first day is on Monday, for example, then she must start the pill with this one that says Monday, and it's within the colored section. Okay? And then she would have to take that Monday, the Tuesday, blah, 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 and go in that sequence, and then start a new pack when she's finished up until Sunday here. So one pill must be taken per day at approximately the same time. It's no good going one day in the morning, the following day only in the evening. And that's to make sure that the hormone levels are kept high enough within the body. And then I've just said to you, the pills must be taken in the sequence given on the package, because different pills contain different quantities of the different hormones. And that's why the sequence is so terribly important. Okay, effectiveness. Perfect use, more than 99% effective. So fewer than 1 in 100 women will get pregnant in a year when using the combined pill correctly. Typical use, only around about 91% effective. So about 9 women per 100 using this combined pill will get pregnant in a year. What are the advantages? May decrease menstrual pain, regular predictable menstrual cycle, so a female will know the exact day that she's going to start menstruating, and that doesn't always happen in females, so it's a bonus to know when that is going to happen. It's very effective if used correctly. It decreases menstrual flow, and there's no interruption of foreplay to use like it happens with condom. So it doesn't spoil the mood. Disadvantages, possible side effects, and these can often be alleviated by switching to a different type of pill. So side effects are things like headaches or having an increased chance of a vaginal yeast infection, breast tenderness, and an increased chances of circulatory problems, in other words, having a thrombosis or a stroke. If women smoke, how's that English? If women do smoke, in women who smoke. Okay, there's a link between these two. But in any case, women who smoke have a much higher chance of having circulatory system problems. Okay, then this is critically important. Certain medications, such as some antibiotics, some anti-seizure medications, some anti-malaria tablets, And certain herbal supplements, such as St. John's wort, they make the pill less effective. In other words, if a female is taking the pill and it's working pretty well for her, and then for some reason she has to go onto antibiotics, the antibiotics nullify the effect of the pill, sorry, and make it less effective, increase the chances of that female falling pregnant. Okay, I'll do this one and then I'll stop for the day. The mini pill or the progestogen only pill. And this one contains a single hormone. This is was developed much more recently than the oral combined one, which, as I said, was the first one that was developed, first type that was developed, and that was developed in about the 1960s. This one is much more recent. So, some of them prevent the ovaries from releasing an egg, so they prevent ovulation, and most of them thicken the secretion of cervical mucus, making it difficult for sperm to pass into the uterus, and therefore prevent them from reaching the fallopian tubes. So how must it be taken? One pill, and this one's critical, same time every day, because it has such low levels of hormones. And again, must be taken according to the sequence on the packaging. Perfect use, 99%, about 1 in 100 women get pregnant. Typical use, also about 91. About 9 in 100 women get pregnant in a year. This used to be higher. They seem to have worked it out, and it seems to be better now. Advantages: fewer side effects in the combined pill, but side effects can occur. For example, headaches, nausea, ovarian cysts. Has to be taken at the same time every day. So it's not going to work for somebody, or it's going to be difficult for somebody who's, say, does a lot of traveling, say overseas, and goes from country to country to country, with the time zones change, etc., etc. It's difficult to remember to take it at the same time. And it's not quite as effective as the combined pill. Right, so that's the lesson for today. Okay.